not trying to force it. Down bad before Mimi and mine's courtship. Circling the sun, that's a different type of orbit. And I fell on my face, but it must have been the Lord's gift. After that, I went from death to life. Only one time he ever said to test him right. The best replies to testify. He conquered it all. He conquered my fall in his presence. Why? I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? Death to life. Death to life. He did it. Death to life. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? John 5:24 and it reads, I tell you the truth, whoever listens and believes in God who sent Christ will have eternal life. No condemnation, they cross from death to life. No life to death, no walking dead. I'd rather walk the talk and shine my light instead. Who can ideate the darkest Friday would have transformed to this new life inside me? Cause Sunday came, I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? Death to life. To life. To life. To life. Death to life. To life. Death to life. Death to life. To life. To life. To life. To life. Death to life.
We are live! Hey, yo, before you come in, take your shoes off. Get your super chats ready. Your questions are getting answered live. But first, shout out to the patrons and the channel members. Check it out. Never miss the after party again. Sign up right now on Patreon for as little as $5 a month and access every replay. Put it in the budget. I'm telling you, we are essential. Y'all already know what time it is. Welcome to the after party with Ruslan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. We're live. And I need you. Yes, you. To drop your location in the chat. I need you. Yes, you. To let me know where you're watching this at. We have the premium partners on the Patreon. We have the moms. And we have you all the way live. Minnesota, South Africa, Louisiana, Troy, Ohio, Alabama, Oak Run, Cali, Central Texas, Farmington, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Ontario, Canada, Nashville. Drop your location, drop your location, drop your location in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Seattle, Alabama, Paris, France. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. And we have, okay, he'll be here in a minute. Zach Sprazzo is here as well. Many rooms. You know it. I know it. I wish I had something more profound to say. Matter of fact, this is it. Okay. All right, guys. Drop your location. Drop your location. Let me know where you're watching this from. I'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. We had the privilege of having Bryce Crawford in the studio today. Clip of that is out on the main channel. And we also have a full podcast available
on what's it called? On the YouTubes. Excuse me, we have a clip on YouTube and a full podcast on a Patreon. So anyway, good stuff. Shout out to Victory in Christ for thank you for the $10 super chat. Had a conversation with Dr. Frank Turk last night in the Q&A on full preterism. He couldn't answer my question with any exegist. Atheists are starting to ask questions that futurists cannot answer. Love. Cool, man. Props to you. You're really riding hard for this full preterism thing, huh? Sweet. I'm sure there's tons of videos out there that would engage with you on it. I'm not going to do that right now because we have actual topics we need to hit, and today is our Friday, which means it's the end of the week. But we will jump into it at some point. We'll do a nice video on full preterism. I don't have an issue with partial preterism, but I think full preterism in the sense that Jesus bodily returned already, like he's physically returned. I think that's a problem. I know there's also folks that are preterists that believe that Jesus had some sort of spiritual return at the
Sounds like
destruction of the temple in 70 AD, but not physical preterism, like not literally return, but like there's a spiritual return that knocked off the millennial reign of Christ. What are you looking for?
Looking for the little piece.
Oh, I don't know about that. But to say like he's already fully returned, like he's fully physically returned, and we just missed it. Is that what full preterism is? That would have to be what full preterism is, right? Like all the revelation happened. I would say that's a reach. Who's a good contact for eschatology question that you trust? Respectfully, Victory in Christ, we don't know you, so probably no one that's going to dedicate a bunch of time to it right now. Mike Winger has some good videos on it. I don't know if shout to Cleave to Antiquity. He's in the house. He's a Protestant apologist. Maybe he'd be willing to engage with you on it. I don't understand enough about the position. Check those headphones, Zach.
No, I switched them out.
Who's pacing back? It's Zach. Zach lost a converter
Zach's
piece.
Pacing. Cut to the side camera so people don't know.
Zach lost a piece to the little converter piece. Yeah, Zach has a fun habit of misplacing stuff. Should the work week be 4 days instead of 5? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I like the idea of a 4-day work week, but I think it has more to do with like how much do you have the capacity to get done? If you can get 5 days of work done in 4 weeks, then I'm not opposed to it. We couldn't come up with a better word than preterism for this. Sounds like something Chris Hansen would confront. Full preterism, also known as hyperpreterism, is a theological view that believes all biblical prophecies, including those related to the second coming of Christ, the resurrection and final judgment, were fulfilled in the 1st century AD, primarily with the destruction of Jerusalem in AD. It essentially is past fulfillment perspective contrasting futurism, which anticipates future fulfillment of these prophecies. Now you're in that shot. Zach just wants to be in all the shots right now because he's frantically looking for a piece that magically went missing. What is the piece you're looking for, dude?
It's the little thing, the headphone connector.
How did it go missing?
I had to switch it out with the one that screws in.
You had to switch
Because
it.
those headphones don't click into the other one, which was a problem we had with, who was that one guy that put headphones on? We were struggling. Oh, all right. Do we have other headphone adapters here?
I mean, there's headphone adapters here. We're right in the middle of a live stream, bud.
Well, I can't hear anything on the stream. Topics, I just won't be able to hear anything.
Why don't you just use the other headphones, dude?
Whack.
Sorry, you lost it. I didn't touch it. I haven't gone over there.
I'm cool with using the headphones.
All right. Did you see? No, I haven't. How did that go? The Connor on the Mav City podcast. Would you say you misplace stuff often, Zach?
No. What's the last thing I misplaced?
This is like a thing.
When we went on tour.
It's the perception.
We went on tour 6 years ago.
Oh yeah,
and
what'd you
left
misplace?
My jacket at Doc Watson's.
I forgot about that.
I had to send it back too.
That's funny. I have post naughties for your ex. The mega bashing of Ortland is unreal. Admire your grace and composure in the Discord. I have. Oh, you have post notifications on my X. Okay. The mega bash. Yeah. Shout out to the back and forth with mega bashing. Mega bash. How do you say her last name?
Basham.
Basham. Bashing Gavin Ortland.
Megan Basham. Basham.
Megan Basham. Bashing Gavin Ortland.
Megan Basham with the mega bashing of Gavin Ortland while he's kind of not even capping.
Treating him like a Catholic with a catheter on.
With the catheter on.
In a smacketer. I can't.
Just trying to think of anything that remotely rhymes.
Catheter on and the math with the catheter on, and the math is so wrong that the passing along of the mac of the farm.
Mac of the farm. That's an awfully hot coffee pot. Gavin Ortland's office spot.
Gavin Ortland in an office spot with his own coffee pot.
Wes Huff walks in with a copy of the oldest manuscript, word for word. Can't believe what you're seeing it.
Manuscript, but a man you spit.
You know what's something I can't stop thinking about? The word for word manuscript of Isaiah Scrolls got me tripping out.
You gotta do the multi-syllable. It's like the manuscript of a fan I rip in a van he split.
Wow.
Got a bam of hits.
Brought Joe Rogan to church.
Got Joe Rogan
and Hulk Hogan.
And Hulk Hogan in the show floating.
Goodness gracious. Now somebody has to chop clips. Let's go. We gotta go.
All right, hold on. Shout out to Jaden. He said, loved the video, guys. Question, what are gray areas, honest confusion versus clever ways to ignore God's standards? How do you deal with this? Yeah, so I think he's ultimately asking about like Romans 12 issues. How do you distinguish between Romans 12 issues? Was it 1 Corinthians 8 about food sacrifice to idols?
All right, we gotta hit these topics. I don't even know what they're talking about, but or Samaj.
Let the chat.
No, chat.
You know?
Chat doesn't.
Oh shoot, we got like 40 minutes to get 2 videos done.
That's
all
what
right.
I'm saying.
What's the first clip, Zach? We're gonna come back to your super chats.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Oh, this Christianity Today situation, huh?
I didn't send it on Patreon, but there is a timestamp at 46 minutes. Okay, go send it on Patreon to me, Tyler, so we don't miss it. All right, so let me start the recording. Is Samaji gonna chop these down?
Yep.
Samaji, are you ready? Christianity Today issues an apology for this article. Was Jesus Christ crucified with nails? Now, they put this out, and basically what they said, it's right around like Good Friday, is we did some historical research and talked to a historian, and the possibility that crucifixion didn't have nails in it, right?
Sounds like Gnosticism.
Then, why did you keep calling everything Gnosticism? Then they had to issue this entire correction. Okay, so let's look at this article. Generally, the Bible doesn't describe Jesus being nailed to a cross as the opening line. Telling the story of Christ's death, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, simply say that Romans soldiers crucified him. They don't know how. Each of the Gospels includes specific details about the soldiers' method of dividing. Jesus closes the lottery, but none describe the way the soldiers put him on the cross. There are no nails mentioned in any of the 4 accounts of Christ's death. Okay? Then they cite this guy, Jeffrey P. Arroyo Garcia, an evangelical Bible scholar who teaches at Gordon College, thinks maybe there weren't any nails.
There's a guy
somewhere that thinks there weren't any nails. Now, can you guys spot the obvious issue with this? Because we're going to come back to it in a second.
Okay.
The words were used were staru, just means to hang on a cross, Garcia told Christianity Today, but it doesn't give the method of how they hang, right? Maybe the resistance is telling. Closely reading the Bible, looking at the long historical record of Roman crucifixion, and examining an archaeological evidence, Garcia has come to the conclusion that the crucifixion might have been done with ropes, while Christians from Emperor Constantine's mother to documentary filmmaker today have searched for the relics of the true nails, and many have meditated on the iron-piercing flesh. The nails might just be the stuff of legend. Okay? Does anybody know the obvious issue here?
The Shroud of Turin.
No. What? No. This is...
Someone else said that too.
No, guys. So they got dragged. Mike Winger dragged them for this.
Come on.
Quite a few people pointed, rightfully so, that this is a nonsensical position. So they do this whole historical analysis on all this stuff, and then issued this correction just a couple days ago. Correction! The article has been revised to clarify that Scripture, including the Gospel of John, indicates that Jesus was crucified with nails, and that Christianity today, along with Christian scholars and theologians throughout church history, affirm that account. CT's theological position can be found in our statement of faith. The author of this article issued an apology.
So why did the author say it's not in any of the 4 gospel accounts, but it is?
That's the problem. Christianity today just had a big...
Had just a Fiverr writer, huh?
Nope. It's not a Fiverr. This is the guy who wrote the article. Apologizing for what I got wrong, reporting on idiosyncratic view on how Jesus died. Okay? Like so many Christians, I spent a lot of time before Easter thinking about the crucifixion, how it must have felt for Jesus to die that way, how God chose this particular divisive Roman terror to accomplish our salvation, and how it worked practically to kill someone on a cross. I'll tell you what the macro issue here is. I think in a minute. An article in Biblical Archaeology Review. What is that word? Peaked? Is that how you spell peaked? PQ'd? Is that peaked?
No, that's not peaked.
My reporting curiosity. A
I
Bible
guess it
professor
is.
suggested it was possible the crucifixion at the time of Christ's death used ropes rather than nails. That's obviously an idiosyncratic view and almost certainly wrong, it seemed to me. But I thought it was interesting. My curiosity took me to the description of Christ's death and the details in those accounts. I didn't think about John 20:25 and the implication of the idea that Thomas was mistaken to think
Oh my goodness.
the resurrected Jesus would have had nail marks in his hands. Thomas clearly would have not said that if the Romans at the time had used ropes.
Hello. I mean,
My article
that's so funny.
implicitly called into question the inerrancy of Scripture and my eagerness to explore the historical context. I missed that, and I'm sorry. Okay, so what is he referring to? Well, we were looking at the resurrection accounts of Jesus yesterday, right? And in John chapter 20, we notice that is when doubting Thomas confronts Jesus. Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Through the doors were locked. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be among you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your fingers here, see my hands. Reach out your hands and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Now, again, the nail marks, right? Put my fingers where the nails were. So this word, let's look up the word nail here to make sure it really means nail and not rope.
Open it up in the Greek.
Yep, means nail. Not rope.
Nail means nailhead.
Nail means nail. Okay?
All right.
So
Seems like some things stand the test of time.
So what's the issue here? So the issue is that Christianity today is often viewed as a bit of a liberal-ish article.
Is it because they put out that Mars Hill podcast?
I mean, you could point to that. I don't think that
Believe
makes
all church staff.
I don't think that's what makes them liberal. I think the issue is, how does something like this get through the editorial process?
Hello. That's great. You're right.
On a website called Christianity Today.
That's crazy.
And this is my theory, and I'm not trying to dunk on them for the sake of dunking on them.
Yeah.
I think what happens is that they are so in the weeds and trying to be academics instead of just looking at the plain reading of Scripture.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can create a lack of discernment. When you're trying to be these academic elitist journalists, where we have the purity of
Every
how
Easter,
do
I got
these
to
things.
uncover something new about the resurrection
Right.
for an article. It's like sometimes there's just nothing new to share about the resurrection.
Right.
Every Easter.
And so, rightfully so, I had a couple articles from this, didn't I? Where's the?
Not the B one, or which one?
No, we're in the wrong thing. I thought you would have to pull it up. Never mind. Okay. Where's the article? Okay, it doesn't matter. Hold on. Clip all that out, Samaje. Me fumbling.
Clip it out.
Oh,
you don't have to worry. I'm the one on screen. I didn't even realize. Yeah, it's a glaring oversight, but now people will spread the bad info from the headline.
I don't think anyone's spreading the bad info from the headline.
You don't think so?
No, I think people are roasting them.
True. I think it's pretty crazy. Here's the thing. I don't have the greatest recall, I'll admit. But before I write something along the lines of there's no accounts of nails used in all 4 gospels, before I put those words on paper, I'm definitely checking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the greatest recall. So I don't need to sit here and be like, oh, 100% no. I 100% trust in myself that I've read that before. I'm going to just open it up, you know? Open up Logos. Open up YouVersion, the Bible app. Not as good as Logos.
Okay. So it even happened to the point, you know, it's an issue when the pagans got to correct you.
Oh, no.
I'm not saying the pagans are correcting them. But
That's funny.
Yeah, so why don't you cut all that out until when we get to this point. Christianity Today posted this as the Bible doesn't say Jesus was nailed to a cross. Go back up. I'm trying to read the whole thing. One evangelical Bible scholar thinks crucifixion may have been done with ropes. This brings into question the guy that they also used as a source on this. Like you find a guy.
You found a guy.
Right? And then they got hit with the community
notes. The Bible says explicitly that Jesus had wounds in his hands and side following his crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Do not doubt, but believe. With the Bible Gateway source.
Yeah. So
frog of shame.
They're of course getting roasted for this, right? To the point where, you know, even Mike Winger, big oopsie for CT, right? So this again, is there a broader systemic breakdown of what's going on in Christianity today?
Well, there's one evangelical that said there is a broader breakdown of.
What is it?
I'm joking. That was their source. They said there's one evangelical.
I want to look up this guy.
In their tweet, they literally say there's one evangelical that believes.
Yeah, seriously.
I know hundreds of evangelicals, and they all go to church on Sunday.
Let's see.
Is it just a random guy?
Let's see if he apologized for this citation. No. Yeah, he hasn't posted in a while.
He got canceled.
I don't know if he got canceled.
I was talking with a friend at church. I was talking with one evangelical at church before.
I wonder.
I hope that lives on. I hope we can continue just saying one evangelical as a source, as a credible source. Oh, I know one evangelical that fill in the blank.
Okay. They got nailed by the evidence.
One evangelical says it's true.
One evangelical says, okay, so one evangelical Bible scholar. Yeah, that's kind of funny. One evangelical Bible scholar. Yeah, so I think them getting dragged for this is fascinating. And then the author of this article, let me look this guy up because he also went on X and apologized for this. I'm wondering
his last name is Silly Man. Daniel Silly Man, yo. What if he's just trolling the whole time?
You think so?
No, probably not. But
No,
that
he
would be
wasn't
funny.
trolling.
Daniel Silly Man. I'm just a silly guy.
It's funny because he has a historian in his article.
I'm a historian.
Okay, where's his apology? I clearly messed up. I'm sorry. Well, props to him for
Oh,
apologizing.
you liked it already. Thanks for this. But Daniel, you're an educated man and a church deacon. How on earth could you not have known Jesus was nailed to the cross? There are first grade Sunday school kids who knew this.
Yeah, he's getting dragged.
There was one named
So my question would be, Daniel, thank you for the apology. However, the ultimate fault is not with you. It is with the editorial oversight of Christianity Today. Reporters and writers are allowed to make mistakes. Sometimes you can be focused on an article that you miss implications. That doesn't make you evil, makes you human. However, reputable publishers are supposed to have oversight and people who look at the articles and have the objective distance to look at the bigger picture, especially an article about this around the time of Easter. This is their one job. While I appreciate your apology, your leadership and oversight are who really need to own up their error and apologize.
Yeah, they just fed this man to the wolves. They're like, you apologize. You take care of it, Mr. Silly Man.
So shout out to Daniel Silly Man for apologizing. What did I say?
It's probably Silliman. It's probably.
I like saying silly man better. No, in all seriousness, shout out to him for apologizing, making the correction. But there's been some problems with Christianity Today, and I think this is kind of the
Nail
most
in the coffin.
obvious, the nail in the coffin, pun intended. Most obvious, egregious example of how do you fumble something so easily. But I really think there's this academic, let's look for more answers instead of we kind of had crucifixion figured out for the last 2,000 years. We kind of know how the Romans did it fairly well. And the Bible was pretty clear.
You could just recycle the same talking points every Easter.
Just rerun the same articles.
But you could rotate them so people didn't notice because it's every 4 years. So 1 year you write about the spear stabbing in the side and how the liquid came out, but then how it's corroborated with science where there's a sack of liquid in the thing. That's one article 1 year. The next one can be about, I don't know, the historicity of the cross and crucifixions in the Roman era. Then you could talk about the Shroud of Turin the next, and then you could rotate them and be talk about mass hallucinations 1 year and talk about how it's crazy. And then
rotate 4 or 5 articles.
Rotate a playbook of articles.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All right.
I'll take the editorial position.
Let me stop this.
We'll buy CT Today.
Stop. Zach really had the idea of buying a major Christian publication. No, don't say it. He thought it was the greatest idea ever. We're not buying any Christian publication. All right. Shout out to CT, man. We love you guys. Just
We're
more checks and balances.
We're
guys.
fielding offers.
Stop. All right, Samaj, that clip's done. Somebody called it. Here's the thing. I think the idea of publications in general and brands in general is dead. This is who was talking about this? Somebody was talking
You're
about
wearing
this.
a Bless God hoodie with a Bless God thing in the back and a Bless God microphone and a Bless God.
Nope.
You've got 4 logos in one shot.
Nope. And the only reason anyone wants anything to do with any of them is because they have a connection with humans.
Oh, for sure.
This is why
That's fair.
Michael Jordan always has to have a new face to what they're selling. Same thing with Nike. There's always a new athlete they have to sign.
Yeah.
Because people don't buy stuff from brands anymore. They buy stuff from people they like. So bless God doesn't exist without content and us.
But isn't that kind of my point about the publication?
What's that?
Revamp it with faces.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine some of our friends hosting shows in the format that we already produce, and that's what overrides that publication.
Stop. All right.
You like that idea?
I hate that
For 2
idea.
seconds, you're like, oh, that's a good point.
No, because I think we could just do that under Bless God, and it'd be better.
No one wants to hear us talk about.
No one wants to hear them talk about it.
Woo!
No one wants to hear Christianity Today talk, bro, unless it's a scathing Rise and Fall of Mars Hill podcast that's very well produced.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, all right.
All right, we got to hit this next one. And we got to do it fast. 8 minutes.
Okay, what's the next topic?
We have
Anti-Christianity Task Force.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, it's not
close out that window.
It's not letting me click it. Oh, there we go.
Thank you all
Oh,
for joining us today. We're excited.
Cool, let's hit it. I don't know what this is, but here, read the title. And then, do you know who Bondi is?
No.
Cool, me either. Government lady.
You should have a review. Who is Jordan B. Cooper, and why do y'all keep asking me about a video? Go post that on Patreon,
Jordan
LR.
B. Cooper. Who is that?
You know our streams get scheduled on Patreon every single day, and you can go and request your topics.
And then you just drop a link in that little comment section.
And you can
we
just drop
pull
a
it
link
up.
with the exact
That's where we got this
timestamp.
next topic.
That's where we got this
Hit
next topic. All right. All right, here we go. It appears that the White House has established an anti-Christian bias task force. Okay, now let's look into this. A lot of people are saying with Trump's latest round of $5,000 incentives, we're going back to the Handmaid's Tale. Okay, and now with this anti-Christian policy and government task force, let's see what they're talking about, all right?
Thank you all for joining us today. We're excited to be here for the launch of the task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias as outlined in the president.
Hey, can y'all lift that shadow ban on your boy on freaking TikTok?
I don't think they own TikTok.
Buy TikTok and fix my TikTok. My TikTok's been in the can. I think people laugh about this sort of stuff, but there's real shadow banning happening on multiple platforms.
Well, we just had Bryce on today, and he was talking about how he's skeptical of
He didn't join their creator fund.
of money the monetization funds on TikTok because he thinks they regulate your stuff a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure that you're not talking about anything they don't want to sponsor.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, this is a real. Those of you guys that are like, oh, you're no, this is a real thing. They will shadow ban you. They will decrease your visibility.
But I think this is specifically talking about in government.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Executive order. Joining me today are members of the task force and individuals who have been impacted by the anti-Christian bias. Together, this task force will identify any unlawful anti-Christian
Okay, hold on. You couldn't have found a better time to go top her up for coffee than when she's doing a daggone federal government announcement from the White House.
That's pretty phenomenal. Not to mention, they're pouring her. Was it coffee or water?
That was coffee.
Okay.
Her bottle of water's right there.
Oh my goodness, that is so good.
Is this a 1.25?
Yeah, I can do like 1.5.
No, it's fine.
Policies, practices, or conduct across the government.
No, it's tea,
Seek
not coffee. That's fine.
Input from the faith-based organizations and state governments to end anti-Christian bias. Find and fix deficiencies in existing and regulatory practices that might contribute to the anti-Christian bias.
Okay. What does that mean?
This is kind of giving.
I like it.
This is kind of giving. We are passing all rights for trans people, where it's like, what rights do they not have?
Well, I want to know what they're talking about. I want them to be
As
more
President
specific.
Trump has stated, the Biden administration engaged in an egregious pattern of targeting peaceful Christians while ignoring violent anti-Christian offenses.
That's fair.
They did go after nasty way went after pro-life activists after Roe v. Wade got overturned. So there was a handful of people that committed, I would say, rather minor infractions.
Like they got within the. You're supposed to be on the other side of the street. They got in front of the abortion
And
clinic.
then years later, after Roe v. Wade got overturned, they went after a lot of these people and made examples of them and scheduled and sentenced them to like serious time in prison for minor infractions. So I do think that there is real downstream effects of this that probably did happen from Biden and his administration.
Eesh.
Go ahead.
President is right. Biden's Department of Justice abused and targeted Christians. Pro-life Christians
That's
were
right.
arrested and imprisoned
That's
for
right.
peacefully
Called it.
praying outside abortion clinics. The FBI spied on traditional Catholics in their parishes. President Biden declared Easter Sunday to be Transgender Day of Visibility.
He did do that. I forgot about.
This is a sickness of the highest order. Just not reading the room.
Yeah.
Now people say, "Oh, but
The only trans on Easter is
moves.
transfiguration."
Transfiguration. It's Easter moves, and therefore it just happened to land on the same day that they had it on.
Ugh.
You know, but it's still a bad look.
Yeah, not good.
Especially as a
No longer.
claiming Catholic. Like, what is wrong with you?
He forgot.
Yeah.
Vandalism against churches was 8 times higher in 2023 than it was in 2018.
You know why that is, though.
I forget.
It's totally because of Roe v. Wade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's at President Trump's directive, we ended those abuses at the Department of Justice on day one. We dropped 3 ongoing cases against pro-lifers and redefined the FACE Act. to ensure that abuse would not continue and that American tax dollars were not used to support the weaponization of our legal system to target Christians.
I like it.
Just a few weeks ago, we convicted a man in Arizona for a plot to bomb Christian churches.
That
should already be illegal.
Yeah. Am I?
Wait.
If that was a grocery store, I'd probably still want the same thing.
I would want them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Regardless.
Church, grocery store,
Liquor store.
anything.
Yeah.
Casino.
Like, hopefully that was already underway.
Even if they're an adult entertainment club.
Yeah. Please don't bomb people.
Bars. Should all be punished.
Just no blowing them up. I get it, but
Go ahead.
The Department of Justice will protect religious liberty for Christians and for all Americans. We'll work closely with everyone around this table and take a whole of government approach to solving this problem and ultimately protect Americans' First Amendment rights. The First Amendment isn't just a line in the Constitution. It's the cornerstone of our American liberty. It guarantees every citizen the right to speak freely, worship freely, and live according to their conscience without government interference.
Come on.
Protecting Christians from bias is not favoritism. It's upholding the rule of law and fulfilling the constitutional promise.
I like it. Keep going.
Thank you to President Trump. We have an incredible opportunity, all of us around this table, to protect the rights of all citizens from discrimination based on their religious beliefs. And thank you all for being here based on this executive order, and I look forward to doing great work together. Now, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, thanks everybody for coming and for members of the task force for being here today and for your commitment to this important effort. If you look around this table in the leadership
this guy looks like Bart Ehrman's brother.
He does not look happy to be there.
that's here, I know that combined with our shared determination to establish sound, effective policies and to push back against any form of anti-Christian or anti-religious bias that has taken root within the federal government, this will allow us to carry out...
Okay, so this is specifically within the federal government.
Yes.
That's a massive W because the federal government shouldn't be weaponized against any group. It sounds like a lot of this was directed towards Catholics. Catholics tend to be very outspoken regarding the pro-life position. I do find it very ironic that Biden was a Catholic. Nancy Pelosi claims to be a Catholic. They claim to be Catholic, yet are wild when it comes to how anti-Catholic many of their views are.
Well, you know, separation of church and state.
No, that's, yeah, no. And then there was, I remember at least one or two priests or bishops that refused them communion.
Yes.
I wish they stood 10 toes down and were more aggressive. I wish they stood 10 toes down but were even more aggressive with regarding that kind of stuff. Now, I have a question for you. Will this change if they elect
Why would it change?
a potential black pope?
Black Pope goes hard. What do you mean? What would change about a black pope? Oh,
You know why?
something like you're saying would they repeal the anti-bias tax force?
No.
You're saying the cultural slant.
Come on, bro. People, you know that the pope that they're looking at to kill in the next pope, one of them is black, and he's from, I'm pretty sure from Africa. Can you verify this for me?
Yeah, Ethiopia.
Okay. So you know how much more nonsensical, not nonsensical, what is it? Like no nonsense, the African continent is to this sort of goofy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he would be the perfect person to usher in some.
Get his picture up. He's in the running. I don't know why we can't find the picture of the guy. What's his name?
That's not right.
I don't know.
Oh.
What's the guy's name? No, but do you guys see where I'm going with this? If there is a
Yeah, this is him.
black pope from Africa, Africa tends to be more conservative. If there's a more conservative pope, will he be harder coming down on the Nancy Pelosi's and the Bidens who are Catholic in name only? You guys tracking?
And yeah, and he could do I'm not gonna do it. What was the pastor
Who?
with the famous meme about?
Is he from Ghana?
No, I don't think so.
Why can't we get a news article? Just pull up the news.
Wikipedia.
This isn't. It's a different looking guy.
I don't think so.
I think so. His name is.
Nigeria.
And he's from Guinea. Cardinal Sarah. So Google Cardinal Sarah.
Wow, we just got a random black guy on here.
Yeah. Cardinal Sarah. You guys get it? Zach forgot how to spell cardinal. He wrote carbadouble.
Well, no. I have the worst placement.
All right, now go to news. Go to news.
I'm just looking at the guy.
5 quotes from Cardinal Roberts 14 hours ago. Click on it.
Let's see. Let's
Fox
see.
News.
Let's see what he's about.
All right. So this is all I'm saying, man. When you know the
This is him, by the way.
yeah, in Africa, you know that's where the whole like, why are you gay?
That's what I was
came
thinking
from?
of. Why are you gay? Yes.
So maybe if the Catholics get a no nonsense pope,
Yeah.
his name's Robert Sarah, then that can alleviate this whole I can be a Catholic and still be cool with killing babies and
Come on.
you know what I mean? Persecuting Christians.
And then is there going to be a little bit of a is he the perfect person to kind of deliver some hard truths to the left?
Yo, gender ideology is Luciferian. Well, this the guy.
This is the one.
Catholics, this the guy y'all
Called
need.
mass migration, a new form of slavery.
This is the guy. This is the guy we need.
Calls modern distractions the devil's tool.
Modern instruction calls Christians calls Christian to refuse loyalty to popularity or politics.
Come on.
Yeah, this might be your guy, man.
This might be your guy.
Well, what would it do to all the racist Catholics?
I think it'll expose that they weren't Catholic in the first place. I don't think there's
There's that many
I don't think there's racist Catholic. Like real
practicing
that
go to mass. And
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully not. All right.
I hope not.
Okay. Sweet. Close that out. All right. So my second clip is done.
How can it be a white man's religion if at the very, very top?
It's a black dude.
Come on.
That.
All right, Samaji, do you need help?
With the second clip, yeah.
Yeah.
I have basically both of the thumbnails done already.
Okay, cool.
So my second clip, just take it and upload it. I'll clip it down. Just take it, upload it, schedule it. I'll go into the editor
Yeah,
and
put
clip
the
it down.
thumbnail on it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool.
Because that's a pretty clear shot.
Easy peasy. Did
Bishop
you
Barron.
start the recording and stop the recording? Like it's an individual file for him?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
pretty sure. I'll stop this one. Just make sure the topic is correct. Like when you go for the file. All right. All right. Bishop Barron is okay, but this Cardinal Sarah guy sounds like the guy. Yeah, Bishop Barron's fired too. I like Bishop Barron. Okay, go to
This
atheist.
is gonna be good.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. Go to atheist.
Oh, this one.
Very top one. Okay. It appears that there are millions of atheists have been coming to God in America.
Wow.
Does this surprise you?
No, not really.
With the after all the brain rot from the Rhett and Alex O'Connor interview,
Ugh.
this is kind of like the opposite of what you think, right?
Yeah.
Because you go to their comment section and it's like, yee-haw,
Yeah, I'm glad we found someone that hates religion as much as I do.
right?
Yeah, I'm curious how many people are like that say they're atheists were atheist by lack of interest. So it's not like they actually landed at like, I don't believe there's a God. They're just like, I don't think there's a God and I want to go play video games instead.
Okay.
And so then they just don't do it. But either way, let's read this, huh?
Yep. Okay. So this
Like
says,
carousel?
zoom in.
No.
According to Pew Research, more than 11 million people in the U.S. who weren't raised Christian
Come on.
now identify as followers of Jesus.
Wow.
Hold on. What's the population of the United States?
300 million.
Is it more than that? Isn't it?
350?
Something like that. Google the population of the United States real quick. I think it's about 350.
340.
340 million, 11 million, 30 million would be 10%, right?
Yeah.
34 million would be 10%. So this is 4%? 11 million is about 4%, 3%? Help me with, I'm doing very rough math.
11 million.
So almost
yeah.
5% of the United States population now identifies as a follower of Jesus, according to the Pew Research. The shift comes as interest in faith steadily rises among younger generation. A 2023 Barna study found that nearly 50% of non-Christian Gen Z are open to conversations around Jesus.
Come on.
A sharp contrast to the hostility often seen in past decades. Meanwhile, testimonies from former atheists are spreading rapidly online. Many cite personal encounters with God, which I always say it's probably going to be a personal encounter with God, right?
Yep.
Biblical evidence, shout out to Wes Huff, or a growing sense of emptiness in secular culture as reason for their conviction. I think that's a
big one.
The big one is so for me, I don't know if you remember this. Something that people don't know is like divorce rates are very low right now. Some of the lowest they've been. This whole idea that like 50% of marriages will end in results was a projection and it actually never materialized to that.
Wow.
The actual rate is like 40%, but the actual rate is like a 35% of first marriages because people who get divorced tend to be more likely to get divorced a second time. And historically, divorce rates are actually the lowest they've been. Why is that? Well, because my generation, millennials, grew up with higher divorce rates. So many of us, when we were kids, we're like, this sucks. Like you think having two homes is dope, but like not being in the house with your dad or your mom together is awful. So what did we do? Many of us said, well, we're going to not repeat the cycle. Or if you're like a hedonist, I'm just not going to get married.
Yeah.
And so there's people that also just didn't get married, right? And so what happened is the millennial generation said, this is stupid. Like my parents, dumb. Y'all got divorced for stupid reasons.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you idiots, right? Respectfully, I'm not saying everyone thought this way, but like I think some of us really saw the damage of it. So what happened is what I think happened is that this rise in the nuns of my generation and Generation X, rising of the nuns, rising of the non-religious, these people, we saw and experienced this, and then their kids, I'm 40, so there's folks that have kids that, millennials that are my age.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, yo, y'all stupid. Like this whole like I'm not religious. Richard Dawkins, new atheism, dumb. It's as dumb as the previous generation getting divorced.
Now I have a question for you.
Sure.
A lot of millennials then prescribed to the idea of I'm gonna wait to get married. Like I'm gonna settle down. Maybe I'll be in my 30s, marry later. Definitely graduate college, get settled, find my interests. Would you say it has worked out for them that way? Because the flip side is like we would also go like, oh man, it's great to be married younger.
Can you make that chart bigger for me real quick? Just to go back to the divorce statistic real quick. Check this out. Look at that.
Wow. So it's dropping. So
it's dropping
1980s, which is right what you're saying.
Yeah.
It was at its peak.
22%, right?
What was happening around 1980?
This is on the other
sexual upswing of the sexual revolution.
What is that?
What's that noise?
Okay. This is on the other side of birth control. This is on the other side of the sexual revolution. Remember the late 60s, right? Free love. And so that's what you're getting into the 70s and 80s, the disco era, right? And so, massive, massive drop. And then it goes back up around the mid-2000s, right? Briefly bumps up and around the mid-2000s.
I blame Obama.
It's
probably because of Obama.
My parents got divorced in the 80s, right? A lot of parents got divorced in the 90s. Then it dipped off, and then it picked up again. And so a lot of us were like, yeah, this is dumb. So I think, and so they're the lowest they've been in a very long time,
wow, that's
right?
crazy,
I think since
actually.
The 70s or the 60s?
Oh, no fault divorce laws too.
Yeah, no fault divorce laws. Thank you. So your question was, what about people
So
who
it seems
delay
like the
getting
millennials-
married? Yeah, I think that. I mean, that's a different conversation.
It
I
is.
think it's a bad idea to wait forever.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, and I bet you if we were to look at marriage ages amongst practicing Christians versus non-Christians, or practicing Christians versus non-practicing Christians. By practicing Christian, I'm usually going to mean what is happening with your Sundays. Like if you go to church every Sunday, to me, you're a practicing Christian. If you don't go to church every Sunday, you're not a practicing. To me, okay, that's the metric I use. Then I would also add reading the Bible, that sort of stuff. Now, those folks I think are going to get married younger. So having said that, this is the 11 million people. And by the way, Bible sales peaked at like 14, 15 million last year. So a lot of those are first time Bible purchases. I would venture off to say that TikTok has a lot to do with it. Probably guys like Bryce Crawford, who we just had on the channel, have a lot to do with it. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of external variables, stuff like The Chosen. Like, you can dunk on The Chosen all you want. It's not sticking to the Bible word for word. Why is it not? I want the Bible in a video. Why is it not the Bible in a video? Right? I don't know what accent I was doing there, but you know what I mean. Like,
They want an AI recreation.
They want an AI
just
recreation.
over the
Yes.
the audible version of the Bible.
So I think all of that is contributing to Christians who, a Christian to Gen Z who's becoming more Jesus curious, and then when they hear some reasonable arguments about why the faith, or they don't even need you don't even need apologetics. You just look at all these atheists and agnostic people and like lots of despair here.
Yeah.
Your conclusions suck. Everyone's transforming now.
Yeah, you all got bags under your eyes.
You got bags under your eyes, right? Like this is terrible. I'm gonna go see with them Christians because they seem to be happier and less likely to get divorced and overall more functional. Look, we go on walks around my neighborhood, right? And we meet
people and we're like, they know Jesus.
They know Jesus, right? They got more than
it's
three.
our barometer for like, that was a cool person. They know Jesus.
They know Jesus. They got more than three kids.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Mom and dad together in the house, loving each other, know Jesus. And what happened? One of them was like, oh yeah, we know so-and-so that knows Chris from North Coast. Sure enough, it was one of the families we knew Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? And so
That's funny.
I think this is so obvious. And I think Gen Z is the most marketed to generation, the most distracted generation. And I think they're kind of sick of it. And they just want something real and authentic. And I hate that word authentic, but
Newspaper business.
what?
They want something different and real.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying we shift and we go to newspaper.
Oh
we
my
reach them
gosh.
with newspapers
Zach.
that preach the gospel in the little comments.
That's not what I meant.
In the comic section notes.
Oh
No?
my God. No.
I'm just trying to think outside the box. No dumb
Stop.
ideas while we're here.
That's a dumb idea. It's a dumb idea. I'm going to say it. Forgive me, chat. But yeah, so anyway, I'm hopeful. I've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
Gavin Ortland's talked about a vibe shift. I talked about this in my new the vlog that we did at Liberty University.
Boom.
I
Yes,
talked about
that's
this
right.
in my conversation with Wes Huff at Apologetics Canada. There is something that has shifted, and I think that is a massive net positive for society as a whole. So,
Boom.
but let me know what you guys think. All right.
Yeah. See, someone said, Gen Z here, man is spitting. We crave newspapers.
Cap.
Think about the utility of a newspaper. Ready?
You're not going to close me on a newspaper, dude.
No, think about the utility. I'm not saying it's the best idea. I'm saying it does a few things. First thing, before you even got your clothes on, a lot of people put on a robe and they walk outside barefoot, morning, grab their newspaper that was just thrown on their driveway. First thing in the morning, they're getting outside, they're smelling fresh air. They got no shoes on, so they're grounded to the earth's frequencies.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. I knew that
Shut up.
piss you off.
man
And then
said-
they come back in and they have breakfast already made for them.
Who's making breakfast for them?
Their housewife. And then they open up their newspaper.
You want it to be 1960s so bad.
Only partially, not fully, if you know what I mean.
Make America great again. Bring back newspapers.
Me and Chris are talking about this. I said, I mean, I think, I don't think Trump was saying, I was like, there was, when he says make America great again, he's saying, okay, before, or definitely after slavery ended, of course. And then before we had income tax. And then me and Chris looked at the time frame, and that was like a 40-year window.
Wow.
I was like, that was a special 40 years there where black people had massive segregation and racism, but they weren't in slavery. And we didn't have to pay income tax. And then Chris's point was like, bro, we have to pay income tax because we didn't have any more free labor. I was like, it's a great point.
Yeah, well, it was the tariffs. They also did a lot of exporting and tariffs and stuff like that. Yeah. Only Gen Z uses newspapers for is to light fires while protesting the issue of the week. That's funny. Monthly newspaper. Newsletter. Someone said newsletter would be cheaper. Would be fun. Do you think transformation can come simply by switching sides in a belief versus a true encounter with Jesus? Let me think about this. Hold on. This is a good question. Why can't I put your question on? Hold on, give me a second. I'm trying to get your thing up. Where's Jay? Jay. I'm here solely because the title changed. What's up, Gabe? Are you saying because we're not addressing something? Is that what you're saying? That's funny if that's what you're saying. Okay. Okay, so Jay asked a great question. Emails are coming back a lot with younger teens, so weekly virtual gospel tracks. I'm here, so yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, bud. Okay. Okay. Do you think transformation can come by simply switching sides in belief versus true encounter with Jesus? I think that I think both things can happen. I think someone can have an encounter with Jesus and transformation can come. I also think someone can go to church, practice being a Christian, and then transformation can come more gradually. I think both are possible. And I think different people need different things. Like some people are, boom, light bulb goes on, everything clicks. They saw the world in black and white, everything lights up, and they go from black and white to color. Other people, I think it could be more of a gradual change, right? A gradual change that slowly changes their perspective, slowly changes how they see things, slowly changes their paradigm. So I think both are possible. I would say it almost depends on the type of person. The key though in both of these is humility. Is someone willing to admit that they don't know everything? Is someone willing to say, I need something outside of myself? Whether that's going to church and saying, let me try this whole Jesus thing out, right? Like we reacted to the video yesterday of Richard Dawkins's right-hand man who was this video guy that came to faith in Jesus. And he was saying, hey, I needed something else. So they started going to some cowboy church after moving to Texas, and the environment changed. And then they went to church because they wanted to homeschool their daughter, and they had homeschool groups. And so the transformation was almost more cultural and more outside in, and then impacted their heart. I think other people can literally just hear the gospel and something can unlock. I think we're actually seeing that a lot with the work that God Logic is doing in his evangelism and debates with the Muslim community. He is on TikTok, letting people call in, debating Muslims, and many of them are just boom, shift happens, paradigm shift, and they become Christians. And some of them have to keep it quiet. Like some of them have to live very quiet initial lives until they can muster up the courage or muster up the means to get away from their families, right? Because they would be considered apostates, and that can come with the death penalty in certain scenarios. So I do think that it can be both, right? I do think that it can be both. I think the part that I am reflecting on more and more is what is the soteriology around this, meaning that from a gospel-centered worldview, if we're looking at what is happening at the point of salvation, I love passages like Romans 6, right, where it says, "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God," which I think most people can acknowledge. And then the very next verse, Romans 3:23, and then the very next verse says, "And all are justified freely by His grace, though through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus." So let's just break this down for a second. For all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God. So everyone has done two things. They've fallen short of God's standard, right? So when they talk about like the definition for sin in the Greek is to miss the mark. Yes. And they also sin in the sense that they do things that break God's commands. It's and both. It's, I know I had this standard to hit. It's a arching term where you're supposed to hit a bullseye and you fall short. But it's also, you do things that you know you shouldn't do that break God's commands or natural law, the conscience that's on all of us, right? And and all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus. Now let's look at some of these words in their original language, right? So this is in the Greek, the word redemption. Let's see if I could play it here.
Δικαιώ.
Dikeo, justify, declare righteous, vindicate, set free. So all have been declared righteous, vindicated, set free, right? The justification is in doing justice. There's a justice that's been done on our behalf. Here is the other translations of it, now how often it's used. You have it used to mean proved right, considered righteous, set free, acquitted, acknowledged. There's a legal precedent that's happening in Romans, right? And it's not just in Romans, it's in other parts of the scriptures as well, right? In terms of this idea of justification, right? Other books. It's used twice in Matthew, it's used in Luke. This is a legal term. So justified is a legal standing, that we are justified legally, right? And it's also connected to the root word of stuff like penalty and punishment. Okay, so now if we go back, justified, made right, set free by his grace. This is another like kind of Christianese word, but if we look up the word grace, we see that the grace, grace, good, will, favor, winsomeness, favor, right? Gift, benefit, goodwill, privilege, favor, right? A gift. So all of us have been justified, made right by a gift, a goodwill gift. And then this word redemption, what does redemption mean? Let's look up the word redemption. Okay. Deliverance, ransoming. So this is a sense of something being delivered, released, a ransom that needs to be paid, right? A buying back of something that was not able to be paid for. So these are actually legal terms, right? For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus, through the buying back, through the ransom being paid by Christ Jesus. God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of his blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate his righteousness, because in his forbearance he had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. He did it to demonstrate his righteousness at the present time, so as to be just and the one who justifies those who have faith. So there's this beautiful image of justification, being justified because of the work of Jesus, right? And this encounter, and Paul keeps doubling down on this, right? Over and over. For we maintain that a person is justified by faith apart from the works of the law, and he goes deeper in it. However, to the one who does not work but trusts God, who justifies the ungodly, their faith is credited as righteousness. This goes over and over in Romans, and you read Romans, and it's a consistent thing. And this justification doesn't mean that we can just go on sinning, right? Because that's addressed in Romans 6 as well. Which will say then, should we go on sinning so that grace may increase? By no means. We are those who have died to sin. Now how can we live in it any longer? Right? So this is not a lawlessness to do whatever we want. So I think the issue in this is the need to acknowledge that there's something beyond yourself that you need to be in right standing with God. That can come through walking out the Christian journey and going to church. That can come through a one-time paradigm shift. I think it's different for all people. And I think that's okay. So I don't think there has to be one way or another, Jay. I tell folks that are like skeptical, like Alex O'Connor, I've said like, why don't you just pretend to be a Christian for a year and see if your life doesn't change for the good? Go to church every Sunday, read your Bible every day or a couple times a week, pray and document your prayers, right? Try that for a year and see if your life doesn't change. I think for the skeptic, that might be a reasonable route. For other people, they may need to be convinced to a reasonable way. For others, they may need some sort of encounter, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts. Akin said, yo, Ruslan, what software did you use for the Greek translation? I'm in the NIV and I'm using the Logos Bible software. Does that answer your question? Okay, let me go back to this super chat. Now that we know how social media are affecting the mental health of the young populace around the world, would you support the idea of a license requirement to access social media like alcohol, 21? Oh, that's an interesting idea, MW. Thank you for the super chat. Should we have a license for social media the same way we have a license for a car or age limit like being 21 and up? I definitely think there should be an age restriction on social media. Yeah, absolutely. I think in a perfect world, senior year of high school, maybe. Like if you're not driving, I don't think you should be allowed to be on social media. This whole idea of like just give people phones, give young people phones and they'll figure it out. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. So yeah, I think there should be standards and there should be guardrails and there should be protections and there should be ways to have checks and balances. Now, a license, like did they got to go to school for it? Like what does that practically mean? No, I think we could put an age restriction on it. And I think they could take some sort of course on some of the basic terms of use that they're signing up for and how things work, where like when we got a community guideline strike on YouTube, or was a copyright strike, I had to go to copyright school. I made a video about it, just kind of joking around going to copyright school. You go to copyright school, you have to learn a bunch of stuff, then you have to pass copyright school. I think you could do something like that for every person that's between the ages of 16 and 21 that signs up for Instagram, or fill in a blank, where they have to go through, they have to read the thing, then you got to answer questions, and you got to get a certain score to get access to the app. I don't think it's that difficult to do something like that. It could be 10 questions. So they understand what data they're releasing, first and foremost. They understand how to operate and how to block people and ban people if harassment starts and how to report those things. They understand why you shouldn't do that to people, how it can cause harm even digitally. So I think there's some things there that could be helpful. Jack said, can I push back, Ruslan? I grew up on Vine and YouTube and found myself creatively on those social medias. I think Vine, respectfully, Jack, you do whatever you want. I think Vine and YouTube are a bit different than like Instagram and TikTok. I think those apps are a little different. I think those apps are a little bit different. Vine is a very creative app. I think that, and I think that YouTube tends to also lean a bit more creative. If we're talking about like X and Instagram, nah, fam. Nah, I don't know. I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. We're gonna be doing some more stuff with logos, by the way, teaching you guys how to use logos. We got a great logos person here locally, but I need a favor from you guys. There's 300 of you guys in here. 300 of you guys. Okay, if you guys, the 300 in here, all did me a solid and did yourself a solid, okay, and hit the link pinned up, pre-ordered my new book, God the Ambition, which doesn't come out till September 9th. We have a special happening today, the end of the month, where if you pre-order it, get a screenshot of your pre-order, go back to mygodlyambition.com, hit claim this offer, you will get 25% off the shop, and we got a new drop coming that you guys are going to love. You will also get the sneak peek for the first 2 chapters, the intro chapter and the first chapter, and be entered for a chance to be one of 10 winners to receive a free limited edition advanced reader copy. If 20 of you guys, not 20, if all 300 of you guys pre-ordered the book right now, it would be massive for us working towards hitting a bestsellers list like the New York Times bestsellers list, okay? So that's why we're starting so early. We have a specific goal in mind, and you guys pre-ordering the book all counts towards the first week sales. Those first week sales help a ton with lifting the book and giving it more visibility. And you'd be doing yourself a solid because I think this is a book that many of you guys need. We have some incredible endorsements from folks like Gavin Ortland, from folks like Dr. Sean McDowell, from folks like Jonathan Pokluda, who did the forward on this, folks like John Acuff. So check it out. Link is pinned up. It would really, really, really mean the world to me, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. All right? So hit that link, pre-order it, get a screenshot, go back to mygodlyambition.com, hit claim this offer, upload it. You'll get the first 2 chapters and a chance to win. This one of 10 winners to receive an advanced copy is only going through the rest of this month. So the sooner you do it, the more likely you will to scoop up one of these 10 copies. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. This video will be redirecting to some other stuff, but we'll see you tomorrow. We got 2 videos coming out tomorrow. The full Bryce Crawford podcast is up. Somebody said I'm not at all ambitious anymore. That's why you should go pre-order the book, because I think godly ambition is a virtue, and I think you should pre-order it. Signed copies will be coming at live events. We'll be doing some free live events for everyone that bought a physical copy. And if you pull up to the live event, I'll be signing copies at those. So that's all we have planned right now. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Love you guys. Peace.